Hi, everybody. I'm attorney Megan Pastrana from Immigration for Couples, and I'm so excited because today marks the first day of starting the legendary 28-day love challenge. And we're here with Marla and Julian. I know I have been talking to all of you about them actually for quite a while now, and so they're finally here. They've graced us with their presence. I'm so excited to have them. Marla and Julian, they are the intimacy experts. They provide world-class service to all monogamous couples who are dedicated to growth. They are absolutely amazing human beings, and my husband and I have, as I've mentioned, you have had an opportunity to work with them. And so we are so excited for them to impart their wisdom to all of you to help you to grow your relationships as well. We are in week 1 of the Legendary Love 28-Day Challenge. And the topic for this week is Cultivate Your Sexy Best Friend Bond. So here's Marla and Julian. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to them to tell you all about the Sexy Best Friend Bond.
Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah. And to be able to speak to couples who are going through the immigration process is spectacular because it's such a unique experience, as you know, more than most. When a couple is going through an immigration process, you know, what's happening behind the scenes in each individual's life is so important. It's so important. And when you're not physically in the same location, you don't always know what's going on in the other person's life. And so how do we keep that vibe? How do we keep that playful, sexy energy flowing between, you know, and throughout all of the processes that are happening, right? Because there's some pretty sincere logistics that have to happen in order to, you know, finally come together and be together as one in one location. Right? So today, right?
No, absolutely. Yeah. And our couples, I know, I just want to let you all know too, that everybody's so excited. I know some people have cold feet about asking questions live, but we had a lot of people who asked questions before. And as you're watching this, all of you that are watching live, please pop your comments in. You have to give StreamYard permission to use your name, but pop your comments in. Any questions you have for Marla and Julian about what they're talking about today, or any questions at all, because they are going to answer your questions at the end. So
yes. And if we don't get to something this time, we can always answer it in the next session next week. So you've got us for 4 weeks. Let's do this. The Sexy Best Friend Bond is one of the greatest strategies, concepts, techniques. It's kind of like all in one, because when you think about your partnership, you're thinking about it in a few different ways. You're thinking about, well, we're friends, we're lovers, we're partners, right? You're my ride or die. We're going through this life together. And sometimes over time, it turns into a little bit of best friends without the sexy part. And so what we love to do is we love to help couples at any stage of their journey really develop their sexy best friend bond together.
Yeah, spark that sexy.
Right?
Yeah,
Spark
absolutely.
it up. And the thing is it doesn't happen naturally. This is what's really fascinating. It tends to be there in the beginning, and then the sexy best friend bond usually turns more into best friends and a little more of a roommate situation. And we're getting our life done together and we're enjoying ourselves. But really the pleasure that comes from being sensual together and sexual together, we kind of put it on back burner sometimes. And especially when we're going through some challenges, like with immigration, the things that arise, you just have to handle those things. And so we love to infuse this idea of the sexy best friend bond throughout those processes. So it doesn't have to be either or. It's a yes and. It's together. You get to go through these processes. You get to go through these challenges in life with this sexy best friend bond together. So let's see, how do we want to describe it? The sexy best friend bond is this idea that we're in this together.
It's you and me.
It's you and me.
It's a partnership. It's a collaboration. It's a group effort, truly.
Right. And it's the you, the me, and the we. So it's our union. Our union is the we. And the sexy best friend bond is how are you intentionally cultivating feeling sensual and sexual in your own body, and then bringing that energy into your relationship. So you're not waiting for your partner to be the romantic one, to be the one to initiate, to be the one to give, right? We see you smiling, Megan. Do you have any comments here?
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that the idea that how you said both of you together, and then that you can take ownership of that you have the choice to initiate that. Because I've heard you say before, Marla, that sometimes we have this distorted idea of what relationships are from the movies, and that our partner is supposed to somehow magically read our mind like we see in the movies and just do everything perfect as we have it in our mind. But reality is we're two separate human beings, and we have the choice to communicate that with our partner. And it's really powerful. And actually I do that. And, we have better communication, my husband and I, and say, actually, this is what I was thinking would be amazing if we could do X, Y, and Z. And that, yeah, just being able to communicate that and initiate that on your own it's very powerful. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And you're touching on something that's so important here, is that the sexy best friend bond in the movies is
Filled with lies.
Filled with lies. Thank you. That's exactly right. It's filled with lies. It's like they're supposed to just know and also not have any needs of their own, and just totally be dedicated to my pleasure and my way of being in the world. And that is actually something that leads to the happy wife, happy life syndrome, which is actually just a step on the path. It was not meant to be the end point, where if the wife is happy, then life is happy. No, if both partners are enjoying, not just the wife, right? And so the sexy best friend bond is, hey, whenever I'm feeling sensual, sexual, I'm feeling open, I'm feeling like life is great, I take some of that energy intentionally and I pour it into my relationship. And I can do it in multiple ways. I can send a text message. I can write an audio. I can write a little script and then say an audio and send it. I can make a short video and send it. I can, if we're in the same location, then I can go to the same side of the house and run up, give him a bunch of kisses and then run away, so he's like, whoa, what just happened?
What Marla's talking about here is effort is sexy, right? Marla, all of those things that Marla just described takes effort, takes thinking in advance about how my partner is going to receive it, how I'm going to deliver it. There's a lot of care and consideration that she's applying, and effort is sexy. When you're in a sexy best friend bond type of relationship and you see your partner putting forth the effort to do something that will ultimately feed the union between the two of you and will be of benefit to all involved, that's sexy.
It really is. It really is. And it fuels you and it fuels your union in a way where, those moments when you feel depleted, when you need a withdrawal from your relationship, where you're relying on your relationship to get you through those hard times, you can think back and remember, oh yeah, we've poured so much love into our relationship where we really feel like we're in this together. It's not I'm alone doing this by myself, right? And then the idea is that what if you really viewed your relationship as sacred and really the most important thing in your life, no matter what else is going on? And that you took just a tiny fraction of what you put into your business, what you put into your other relationships. You took a little tiny fraction of that energy and you intentionally reserved that every day, not just every week or once a month or on date night, every single day. You reserve a little percent that you intentionally say, this is going into my sexy best friend bond. So I'm making some sexy effort every single day. And then that way, the times where you can actually be together and have sex, you're not feeling depleted like, well, my turn on runway is a lot longer than what you're giving me right now, right? Like, you got a lot of work to do, buddy. That kind of energy is pretty repelling. So you want to be welcoming at the times where sex is available. And for some couples in immigration, of course, you're not in the same location. So sex is kind of fun and creative. And thank goodness we have video phones these days.
keeping those vibes high at a distance. Yeah, keeping those vibes high at a distance. Using technology, right? Technology is a tool that we can really use to stay connected when we're not close by our partners, and be able to use it as a way to stay intimate, to send sexy videos and sexy texts, and to remind them that you're thinking of them, or silly emojis, or however the union enjoys to receive that joy and that love.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we have somebody that has a question that they want to know what Marla was talking about, like leaving notes or text messages. This person wanted to know, do the comments, do you mean just sexual comments, or is it just thinking of you comments?
Oh, thank you so much for that question. It's both. It's
all of
both.
The above. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, especially couples who are not in the same location, if you can share your calendars digitally.
Ooh, share that calendar, girl. That's sexy. Now I know where you're at. Oh.
I know where you're at. I know when you have a meeting, where don't send that sexy text when you're in the middle of that important meeting, right? You don't want to derail your partner.
But you want to get it at lunchtime.
At lunchtime or before, like the good vibes, thinking of you, sending you so much love. You're going to rock it today. You know, like be each other's best cheerleader, and not in that cheesy way where, you know, it feels forced, but genuinely, you want your partner to have an epic day. You want them to have a wonderful day. So what if you send that, or at the end of the day, you send a note, you know, saying, you know, my day was really great and I had a couple challenges and I was thinking of you. I'm so grateful for you. You know, gratitude sharing, gratitude, any little thing that is going on that's going to uplift your partner. And that's the thing, is sometimes we use our relationships a little bit like a dumping ground on accident, like, the complaining, you know. So one of the things Julian and I do that we also love to teach is we only use text messaging for something positive or logistics, never something negative. And that way, you know, your texting is a safe space, that when you receive a text from your partner, it's not going to be something ugly or unkind.
And Marla's gone as far as to write a message in her note, a note in her phone that was not kind, and call me over
and show it to her,
and then hand it to me, so it wasn't via text. And then she deleted it after.
I didn't send it.
She didn't send it. She immediately deleted it.
Here's what I'm thinking.
delete. Like, and so I got an insight without like receiving it. It was the two of us against the issue. The issue was Marla was activated around something and didn't enjoy that, and came over and was like, this is how I'm feeling about it, without me having to receive it in a text that's now kept in perpetuity as a documented catalog of how we interact.
Right. And because my tone of voice when I'm activated is not, I don't know about you, Megan, but is not as kind as when I'm not activated. And so I like to send a message that has kind emojis and that's uplifting and taking responsibility, that's saying, I'm really doing my best to be kind here, and I'm really unhappy with what's happening and it doesn't feel good. And, you know, so to be honest, and at the same time, be aware that, you know, the ugly that comes through in a lot of text messages, they're hearing your tone. And so even if you put a heart emoji in there, you know, or a sparkle or something that's going to be like, oh, okay, I see, they're not being that unkind, right? So that's the idea. And so if you can make the advanced agreement, meaning agree in advance, that your text messages will be clean and they will be only for positive interactions or logistics, like, hey, we're going to meet here at this time, then you'll start to see, you'll feel more spacious. And those of you who've been sending, you know, text messages that are a little bit unkind, that will clean up, and then you'll have a little more space to feel loving towards each other and know, oh, when I receive a text message, it's going to be something uplifting.
Right. And even if it's not exactly on point, I'm applying the benefit of the doubt, because we've got this advanced agreement that I know that she's making every effort for all text communications to be as kind as possible. So if I'm unintentionally reading into something, that's my material that's arising, not Marla's, because Marla's making the efforts to make sure that it's all clean communications via text, and I'm doing the same. It works really great to help to maintain clean communication and not have there be unnecessary fighting from miscommunication around the texts, which often
Yeah, I
happens.
love that. That's awesome. Yeah, and we're going to definitely start that with my husband. That's a really good idea, because you're right. Even things that might seem terse with someone, but we know each other. And yes, I have the same thing. And my husband does too. It just, when you're angry, it just, yeah, I can be loud and then it just escalates on both sides. And so if you read that in a text message, you just feel the physical manifestations of that anxiety of, oh, they're mad. And now I feel mad, or I feel stressed, or it just doesn't, it doesn't sit right. And so you're right. And having that live in perpetuity, that's so true, because it'll be right there. Then you might talk about it and you're fine and you work through it. But then the next morning when you get ready to send a message, you can see it there, even though you've worked through it, and it just, you got to relive it. So I love that. Definitely.
There's another way that's a scaffold step if it's too challenging or it's hard to get an agreement with your partner to not do negativity in text messages. And that scaffold step is to reserve text for only positive and logistics, and then have a shared note in your phone or a shared Google Doc where you can have the angry doc, and you can that's where you're going to put your anger. And that's how you're going to do it. And that way it's clean in your texts, because your texts are sacred and your relationship is sacred. And it's so hard to remember that in the moment when you're angry and frustrated. So if you're like, oh, wait, that's not the place to put it. It's like you wouldn't put your scissors back in the drawer that is for, your silverware. Maybe. Like everything has a place.
You wouldn't put scissors in your underwear drawer.
Now, there you go. That's a better example. The idea here is that you have a new mindset, and the new mindset is, it's kind of like we're lovers all day long, even if we're not having sex. And so I'm glad that we got that first question, which was, is this just for being sexy, or is it just being for kindness and thoughtfulness? And so it's really for all of the above. And the idea is, remember when you felt like lovers. Lovers think about each other. They're intentionally kind with each other. They're thinking about, ooh, what's going to bring a little more joy and uplift into that person's life. And they want to send little notes, and they want to do kind things. And it's easy to receive from your lover. And so when you feel like lovers all day long, it uplifts your vibe together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I just, just being cognizant of it is really powerful. I think you're right, because in the moment when you're triggered, and something, either one of you is unhappy, and you're not thinking clearly, it's nice to have that option of just writing it down somewhere, letting it sit in your thoughts and think, what's the truth in this? And then actually be able to communicate in a separate platform, someplace separate from your day-to-day communication. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super helpful. It's really helpful. And, again, this doesn't happen naturally. What happens naturally, the sexy best friend bond, if you really think about it, in a monogamous relationship, there's only one place you're going to go for sex and sensuality, sexuality, and that's your partnership. So you want to not only receive from your partner, you want to give towards your partner in ways that develop more of a friendship as well as a sensual relationship. And what that means is you're aware of, what is it that makes my partner sing, from their heart? What is it? And everybody can think about this right now. You think about one or two things that your partner, when you do these things, or when you say these things, or when, they experience these things, their heart just opens.
Lights up.
It just lights up. Think about it. Everybody knows what makes their partner a little happier. And then when you start getting curious, because you don't want it to become old,
Mundane.
Right? Or mundane. You want to keep it sacred. So you want to always be open for what's the next thing that is going to uplift my partner? What's the next way that, because they're growing and changing all the time. I'm growing and changing all the time. The things that felt good to me 10 years ago are not necessarily the things that feel good to me today. And so we want to grow together over time. We want to grow this sexy best friend bond over time. And so if we're open to new experiences and new ways of seeing our partner, and one of our techniques is we say, look at your partner with fresh eyes. So if you close your eyes intentionally long enough, and then you turn towards your partner and you open your eyes and you go, who are they today? Who is this person today in this moment? How has he changed? How is she different? What is she needing now? What is he needing now to feel even more alive in his body?
And Marla's talking about loving curiosity here. Just being the vibration of love and being curious about your partner, and putting those two together is magic. And we always like to say, when you're using fresh eyes, it allows you to be curious, but also just to ask, because even the things that you think you know about your partner are not always the same. Like your partner's favorite thing may change over time, or the thing that they always liked is no longer the thing that they like anymore. And so just checking in and asking, is this still something that you're aligned to? And yes, it is. Okay, well, here it is. This thing, I knew that I had it right lined up for you, and checking. And if you think ask. And if you don't know, also ask, right? Just to get curious, be like, I don't know this thing. I think that you might, but I'm not sure. What do you think? And so just asking either way. And that just creates a loving connection where the part you're within the sexy best friend bond, you're going to that kind of a connection to get curious and to really understand what the needs are of your partner.
Yeah, because what happens when you don't develop the sexy best friend bond? We all know. Pardon me.
Distance.
Resentment builds. Resentment is the little killer that comes in with a little tiny paper cut, and then over time you can actually completely feel depleted. So pardon me.
Cough on the truth.
I will cough on the truth. Got a little thing in my throat.
Aw. And Julian, not if you do you have an example that you'd be comfortable sharing of what you're saying? I know what you mean, and I'm thinking of things with my husband and I, how you change over time. And if you don't take time to ask that question of, if you're, I guess you were saying, is this still something you like? You mean, I guess if you can give an example, not to try to.
Like I like my sandwiches. Marla makes the most delicious, yummy sandwiches for me. And she asks me what I want inside of it. She's like, do you want turkey or do you want ham? She knows I like all sorts of things. She can make a delicious sandwich for me that I would love no matter what. And she still wants to check in with me for what my desire is in the moment.
And like what he wants,
even though she knows, and then what I want on it. It's such a small thing. It's like a sandwich is not a big deal in relationship. But when you're cultivating the sexy best friend bond, those little things compound over time to create magic. Like it really creates love and space because all the little details really matter. And they add up. Like all of a sudden you've got this big pile of love and affection and good vibes. And you're like, oh, I'm feeling great. Where did this come from? It comes from the cultivation of the two of you looking for the little things to add to each other.
And then in the sexual arena, it's so wonderful if your partner whispers in your ear, this is what I'd love to do right now. Is that going to work for you? And then you can say, oh, yeah, that is going to work for me. Or yeah. And you know what? If you could do this first, I would love that. If you wouldn't mind, rubbing my neck first and then doing what you said you would do, so it opens up communication in a way where you're curious, you're loving, you're not asking permission in the way of like, can I kiss you now? That's not what we're saying.
Would you like me to do it a little bit slower?
Right.
Or would you like me to speed up?
Right. Where are you at in this moment?
What would you like?
Yeah. And so that you feel like you have choice and there's dialogue and there's ongoing consent. Like, yes, I agree with this. Yes, I want that. Yes, I'm a yes for this. Because when we practice saying yes to our partner, because they're asking in these little ways, they're asking in the tiny steps, then when we get to the big issues, we are already practiced in saying yes, and we're already practiced in asking for consent and for agreement. Oh, do you want this? Yes, I do. Thank you for asking. Would you like me to draw you a bath and put some Epsom salt in there? Well, yes, I would.
Would you like me to rub your feet while you're in the Epsom salt bath?
Yes, I would. Right. And then, if I took a bath earlier in the day and he didn't realize it and he's asking if I want a bath, I might say, actually, I'd prefer X, Y, or Z. And so he doesn't have to go through the effort of drawing that bath and then, realizing I actually don't want to be in the bath.
Oh, I did it wrong because I thought she wanted the bath, but I didn't really check. And so she already had a bath earlier and now she wants to go do something else. And I spent all this effort. Right. I didn't do it right.
It's one of the biggest issues. Yeah. Making our partners wrong unintentionally or even intentionally,
And that's an opportunity to highlight that effort is sexy, right? I see the effort that you took to draw me the bath. And even though I had one earlier, I love it. In fact, why don't we take it together?
Let's get in there.
Let's get in together.
Turn around. I'm going to rub your shoulders,
Yeah, no, those are great examples. Yeah, thank you for that.
So we do have an activity to share for everybody, which is the love wave invitation.
Oh, yeah.
Is this a good time to talk about it?
Absolutely. I just popped up your fun homework for this week.
Oh, yay. Okay, wonderful. So we have an invitation for everyone. If you would like to try something out in order to build the sexy best friend bond.
And this is fully apropos for people who are at a distance.
Yes, you can do it whether you're in the same home or not in the same home, wherever you are in the world. The love wave invitation is something that anyone can practice. Okay, so here it is. You're going to gift your partner with a video message in a particular way, okay? And the intention is to nourish your union. So we'll sort of go through the steps. The steps are, before you go to record your video, you're going to want to get into a really uplifted state inside where you're feeling like you're in surplus. So this is not to do when you're like, oh, dang, I wanted to do that love wave invitation. I better do it really quick. That's not the time to do it. You want to do it when you're feeling like love is flowing through you. So if you're not in the same location, maybe you want to take a bath, or you want to take a shower and relax and get into take a little tea, or make it so that you feel wonderful, and put on your favorite music, move your body, do something to up your own vibe. And then step 2 is you're going to think about your partner. So you're going to focus on what you love about them. And you're going to think about what you love about them now that also relates to back when you first met. And the idea is, no matter how many twists and turns you're going through, have gone through, that your union has gone through, that you're actually going to share something about what you're so grateful for about your partner, that every step along the way has led to where you are now. And you're so grateful for your journey together. So you're going to sort of do like remembering when you first met, when you first started to feel that sexy vibe, when you first made those commitments together, when you first said full yeses, when you first kissed, whatever your first like mind-blowing sparks.
When the sparks were present.
Yeah. And then you're going to record a short video. It could be 30 seconds. It can be 3 minutes. Don't make it too long. You want to have it, in that nice sweet spot.
Goldilocks zone.
That Goldilocks zone. And, maybe like, hey, babe, I'm remembering that night we met when I saw you across the room in that dusty downtown loft in Los Angeles. And my heart just knew we were meant to be together.
Yes.
Right. And I just want to share how much I'm so grateful for you, and try to be specific about how it is that you met, when you started to feel those good vibes, and what you're grateful for now. And then just before you hit send, you want to make sure you elevate your mood one more time, and you're going to just, in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, go, and I really, truly hope that this uplifts my partner's day. And then you press send. And it's just the perfect way of a one-way conversation, especially if your union feels a little depleted or your partner's been struggling in any way. You can do it anytime this week, because we'll meet again this time next, or actually it's a different time, but next week we'll meet again. And if you just send it without expecting anything in return, don't expect a heart, a like, even a response. Just expect nothing. Just send it and just wish for them that it uplifts their day, and nothing in return. And then if you receive something in return, wonderful. But this is literally just a practice of, I am pouring into you, and I'm doing it for me, for you, and for our union. That's the love wave invitation.
Yeah, I love that. I'm excited to do that. I think that's awesome, because I know I won't speak for all of our viewers, but I know for myself personally that being vulnerable like that is, even though you're in a couple, sometimes that doesn't come very naturally, especially if you haven't been fostering this best friend bond. And so I'm simultaneously nervous and excited to do that. So yeah, I think this is an awesome exercise.
One thing to remember: you can't do it wrong.
You can't. You absolutely cannot do it wrong. Even if you fumble, even if you're like, blah, 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 send it anyway. If you're stumbling over your words, that's precious.
We celebrate that messy middle. That's beautiful.
It's not going for perfection. It's just an expression from your heart to your partner's heart to nourish that sexy best friend bond. And that's all. That is what the purpose is. It's so beautiful. It's really, the first time I did it for Julian,
I was speechless, and that doesn't happen to me. Like, I don't have the thing where I'm like, oh, I got nothing to say on that. But I literally was, it was early in the morning. It was unexpected. I was quietly sitting on my own in a meditative place, just not meditating, but just in a quiet place. And I just got this wave of love, that just like a tidal wave of love in this video from Marla. And I got stunned. I had to take a few minutes to even like receive it all. To be honest, I don't know that I actually did receive the totality of what she tried to give me in that moment. Like, there was so much that, like, a lot of it just, I took as much as I could, and then the rest of it fell and went into being, nearby.
So now it's time to go back and watch that video again.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to do that.
That's so awesome. I love that exercise. And it is so nice. Well, I mean, my husband and I have done things like that, similar for each other. And that feeling, I can think of the feeling I have when he's done those things, but it's fun to think about how he'll feel the same way if I send him a video like that, remembering, the positive moments or the highlights of our relationship. I'm excited to do that. That's awesome.
It's so precious. I just want to say one more thing about it, is that I'm really glad you brought that up. We don't always think that our partners need that, especially our male partners. It's so important to nourish our male partners. Women, we know we need more and more and more and more. It's obvious. We want more. We're ready for more. We want to receive more. It's almost like you can never give enough to a woman, in a way. And so in some ways, in heterosexual relationships, male partners are always kind of the ones giving into us. And in some ways it's so, and then we give back in different ways. But the nourishment to say, I'm so proud of you for what you're doing and how you're handling your life. I'm really excited for you. I see what you're doing in your life, and it's uplifting. It's inspiring to me. I have so much respect for you in what you're doing and how you're handling things. Like, to give that in the form of a video, when they can go back and watch it again to refresh and nourish themselves, remembering that they are worthy, they're worthy of their life, they're worthy of love, they're worthy of receiving. And, as women, we don't always think that they need that kind of pouring into, and they really do. We all do as humans. It's not a gender thing. We all need that kind of nourishment. So this is a wonderful, the Love Wave invitation is your mission should you choose to accept it.
We hope you do, and we love to hear about some of the amazing results.
And develop that sexy best friend bond.
Yes.